Searching for the truth, that is the topic of tonight's byline. Put not your trust in princes. It's a wise line to live by. The 146th Psalm, put not your trust in princes. It's a line that came to mind immediately as I was sent a story this morning claiming that Public Safety Minister Stephen Blaney knew full well about the gun reclassifications that shocked so many people in late February. I'm talking about the Swiss Arms reclassification that turned thousands of Canadians from law-abiding citizens into criminals overnight. The story from CBC claiming the government knew and did nothing made me furious. Then I remembered another old line, trust but verify. It's an old Russian proverb that Ronald Reagan liked to use when dealing with the Soviets. Read at face value, this CBC story would have you believe that Minister Blaney knew a week before the reclassification took place. The story says, newly obtained documents show Public Safety Minister Stephen Blaney was informed more than once and long in advance that the RCMP was likely going to reclassify and ban a controversial semi-automatic rifle. Now, when a story starts off calling a semi-automatic rifle controversial, well, you know you're not exactly in for an impartial ride. I've spent a lot of time talking to people on all sides today, and I think the RCMP are trying to cover their butts with this story and lay blame at the minister's feet. Now, I don't carry any water for Stephen Blaney. I trust but verify with everyone. But if you bear with me, I'll show you the timeline of events and the documents that show, in my eyes, this is an RCMP power play. It is them trying to show the government that they're the ones in charge of deciding who gets guns and who doesn't. Now, according to the CBC, the Mounties first informed the government that they were looking into the Swiss Arms rifle in June 2013. I have that memo here, and it says simply that the RCMP is investigating the PE90 Classic Green rifle in order to determine whether it should be considered a prohibited firearm based on the criteria in the criminal code and its supporting regulations. So the RCMP said they were looking into it, not banning it. And we brought you that story with Faith Goldie back on June 5th, 2013. That was 2 days before RCMP Commissioner Bob Paulson signed this memo sent to then Minister Vic Toews. From what I've been told through back channels, the government made their views known. They did not support this move. Now, the CBC story then says that in July 2013, after Toews left cabinet and Blaney became the minister in charge, a briefing note was sent to Blaney. Now, officials in Blaney's office tell me they never received this note. But even this one simply says they're looking into it, and if they make it prohibited, there are options to protect current owners. There was no decision made, no consultation sought from the elected representative who provides civilian oversight to the RCMP. Besides, the Mounties already knew the government's position. So skip ahead to February 2014. CBC says that the minister knew a week before the gun was banned. In this memo, in their story, the Mounties submitted another briefing note for Blaney on February 20th, 2014, also signed by Paulson, that explained the Mounties' findings and decision. Now, the RCMP memo dated on February 20th, but Blaney's office swears they didn't receive it until it arrived in the mail February 24th, and upon reading it, you'll have no doubt that they didn't care what Blaney or the government thought. They had made up their minds, their gun-grabbing minds. The memo reads, now that it has been determined that the classic green rifle is a prohibited firearm, measures should be taken to address the fact that any individual who may possess that rifle is not in compliance with the Firearms Act. There's no seeking approval by the minister. Not saying, hey, boss, is it okay with you? No, they just sent a memo saying that fully automatic rifles are dangerous, and we think this semi-auto is just like the automatic, so we're banning it. They offered to meet Blaney to discuss options after the ban, but they didn't say, hey, boss, do you think it should be banned? Now, unlike government departments, there's no place on this memo for a minister to even sign off. Just look at the form. The only signature there's space for is Bob Paulson's. That's all you need to turn law-abiding citizens into criminals. Officials in Blaney's office tell me that immediately upon getting this memo, they called the RCMP in to explain themselves and saying that the minister took issue with their move. The Mounties showed up 2 days later, February 26th at 4 in the afternoon. The Mounties head office is about a 20-minute drive away. One official tells me the Mounties brought in the rifles as well. The minister's office raised concerns, showed the RCMP the problems in their logic. So that meeting took place at 4 p.m. The change turning law-abiding citizens into criminals happened at 10 p.m. 10 p.m. on the 26th. The next day, the minister expressed outrage in public and denounced the RCMP move. Didn't stop the Mounties. They banned the CZ-858 and others like it that same week. The Mounties and Bob Paulson in particular think they answer to no one. Now, I haven't been able to confirm every single aspect of this dispute in the timeline between the CBC RCMP story and the minister's office, but what I've heard does match up with what I've been told by people inside and outside government from the start. As I've said from the beginning, bureaucrats with guns should not have the ability to strip citizens of their private property like this. The Mounties had approved the gun for sale in Canada. Law-abiding owners had paid $4,000 a pop to buy these rifles, which, to my knowledge, have never been used in a crime. Not in this country. We need to keep up the pressure on the minister to change the law. Changes, I'm told, are coming. I say they can't come soon enough. Do not take your eye off the prize of bringing common sense to Canada's gun laws by getting distracted by a CBC RCMP story designed to make you angry at the only people that can change things. Call, email, write, withhold donations. Do what you need to do to bring about this change. But believe me, changes are coming, either to the law or to the government. And that's the byline.